This is my first assignment of the Practical Team Sports unit. In this assignment I will talk about the rules and regulations of two sports and then apply them to 3 different situations in each sport. The 2 sports I'm going to talk about are football and cricket. The first sport I'm going to talk about is football. In this slide I will talk about various rules and regulations of the game. Firstly, the rules. The first rule is the number of players you're allowed on the pitch at one time and the squad size you can take to a game. To a professional game, most teams will travel with a squad of about 21 players. When it comes to naming your squad, you can name up to a maximum of 12 substitutions. This only really happens in a pre-season friendly match. Most teams name either 5 or 7 substitutions of a match. Each game of football is 11 aside, alongside the substitutions. The next rule is the officials. In football, you have referees because it is a contact sport. You have the main referee, who is the official on the pitch with the whistle, who determines the fouls, throw-ins and goals, and then you have 2 assistant referees. These are placed at either team's left back and stay in only that team's defensive half. The assistant referees assist the main referee's decisions for throw-ins and fouls. You also have the 4th official, which is placed on the sidelines, normally in between each team's dugout. This official determines how much added time there is to each half and takes control of the substitutions too. Only recently, in the past 2 years and in the European Games, 5th and 6th officials have been introduced. These officials are placed at either goal and they assist the referee with goal line technology. They can also give fouls in the penalty area if they see anything. Substitutions. In any normal professional game, you can only make 3 substitutions throughout the whole match. Therefore, some of the squad you pick for the game won't be able to play. In pre-season games and non-competitive games, you can usually use all the subs that are picked. On to scoring. In football, you simply score by putting the ball into the back of the opposition's net. It can also come off any part of your body except your hands, and it will be awarded as a goal. It can also come off an opponent, but this would be put down as an own goal. The ball can go out of play at any 4 sides of the pitch. If it goes out via the 2 long sides, then this will result in a throw-in to the team who didn't put it out. If it goes off the pitch at the 2 short sides where the goals lie on, then it will either be a goal kick or corner, dependent on who it came off of last. On to the last rule. Fouls. Fouls can be committed by each team in various ways. Firstly, you can make an illegal challenge on an opponent and a foul can be given. This will be challenging them and not actually getting the ball. You get them instead and it stops them from playing. A deliberate handball is also a foul and can result in a booking. Being offside is another foul. Even though it's not on the player, it still affects the game and you get punished for it. Now on to the regulations of the game. Firstly, the equipment. For a game of football, you need various pieces of equipment to carry out the game. As a player, you need to be playing in a kit. You need a playing kit to play in, which includes a top with sleeves, shorts and socks. You need shin pads, which are an essential, and it is mandatory that you wear these at all times throughout the game. You also need football boots, either firm ground or soft grounds. You're not allowed to wear metal studs when playing with soft grounds. The referee will make the final decision on each player's boots, and as long as the referee thinks they're safe, then it is fine for you to play in them. For the pitch, you need 2 goals, both with a net at either end of the pitch, and you also need 4 corner flags at each corner. One final thing is you also need a football to actually play a game. This ball should be fully pumped up prior to the game and be a size 5 men's football. The playing area. The length of a pitch must be between 100 yards and 130 yards, and the width not less than 50 yards and not more than 100 yards. Each penalty box is 18 yards from the touchline where the goals lie outwards. The centre circle is 10 yards in radius, and each corner spot is 1 yard in radius. Finally, the surface. The surface of a football pitch is primarily grass. They should be as flat as possible, and if a referee thinks that they are too unsafe to play on, then they can call the game off. However, in the past couple years, 3G and 4G pitches have come around. These are artificial grass pitches with black rubber bits. These pitches are becoming more popular and will start to become more legal to play on as the seasons go on and they get developed properly. Now on to the 3 scenarios about the rules and regulations. The first scenario, if it loads. So in the first scenario, in this video, the assistant referee gives an offside decision for a goal. This means the goal does not stand. However, from the video, you can clearly see the ball is passed backwards and also the attackers run from behind the defenders and onto the ball. Therefore, he cannot be offside and the goal should have stood. On to the second scenario. You can clearly see in this scenario that a foul has been committed on the edge. You can clearly see that a foul has been committed on the edge of the penalty box and a free kick has been given. Alexis Sanchez has stood up and taken the free kick and scored. This is classed as a goal from set piece and it's a way of scoring in a football game. On to the third scenario. From this video, you can clearly see that David Luiz has lost possession of the ball in attack and gone to win it back by jumping in on the Arsenal's left back. He has jumped in off the ground 2-footed with both sets of studs showing. He didn't win the ball, and this is an automatic red card for dangerous play. The referee is right with his decision that he made. The second part I'm going to talk about is cricket. In this slide I'll talk about various rules and regulations of the game. Firstly, the rules. Number of players. In cricket you're only allowed 11 players on the pitch at one time when you're fielding. That includes 9 fielders, 1 bowler and 1 wicket keeper. The bowler obviously changes after every 6 balls, which is classed as an over. To a game you can take a squad of normally 15, is what most teams take nowadays. If a player gets injured throughout the game, a 12th man is nominated at the beginning of the match, and then they will replace the injured player. When batting, only 2 people bat at one time, 1 at each end of the wicket. Yet again, if one of the batsmen gets injured, which prevents them from being able to run, then another teammate that is named in the 11 can go on as a runner for the injured player and run for them. Officials. In a game of cricket, the officials are more commonly known as umpires. This because it is a non-contact sport. In a game of cricket, you have 2 umpires that take control of each end of the wicket. The umpire that is not standing at the wicket is positioned at square leg and takes controls of run-outs and can assist the other umpire with boundaries and catches that are closer to him. In a televised professional match, there will also be a third umpire. They can make decisions and have a closer look at replays if the 2 on-field umpires aren't sure about making a decision, or the batsmen or fielders review the original decision made by the on-field umpires. Scoring. In cricket, you can score various runs in various ways. In one ball, the most you can hit is 7. This would be a no ball, it being hit for 6. Hitting a ball for 6 means you have to hit the ball in the air all the way over the boundary rope or line without it hitting the floor inside that line or rope. If the ball goes over the boundary rope but it bounces or rolls over the line, then it is 4 runs. You can also score runs by running between the wickets until you decide to obviously stop. That is normally when the ball looks like it's about to come back to the wickets, so you stop running so you don't get out. All the runs you hit off the bat go towards your own runs. If you are running and the fielders attempt to run you out and they miss the stumps, you can run the overthrows too, and they will also count towards your runs. Runs can also count if they come off your leg pad when attempting to play a shot. These go down on the extras and as the leg buys. If you attempt to play a shot and you don't hit it, and the wicketkeeper also misses it, then you can run if you want, and these runs will go down on the extras too, but as buys. The 2 final ways you can score runs for your team are wide balls. These go down also on the extras. This is when the ball is bowled too wide for the batsman. And the final way is a no ball. No balls also go down as extras. These can be bowled when your front foot is over the crease line when you bowl, or if you bowl a full bunger at the batsman above waist height without it bouncing. For a wide ball and no ball, it's classed as an illegal delivery. You get an extra run, and that's without you running extra yourself, and you also get an extra delivery to the over too. Getting out. In cricket, you can get out in various ways. The first way is getting clean bowled by the bowler from a legal delivery. This is when the ball is bowled, the batsman misses it and it hits the stumps. Either bail must come off this to stand as a wicket. The second way is getting caught. This is when you hit the ball and any of the 11 fielders catch the ball before it hits the ground. The third way is LBW. This stands for leg before wicket. This is when the ball hits your pad in line with the wicket. You can only be out if it hits the pad first and it is in line with hitting the wicket. If you hit the ball with your bat first, then it hits the pad, then it's not out. Also, if it pitches outside leg stump, then it is also not out. Another way of getting out is hitting your stumps with either your bat or foot when attempting to play a shot or after your shot. The final way of getting out is run out. This is when you attempt to run and the ball gets thrown directly onto the stumps or to a fielder or wicketkeeper, and they take the bails off with the ball in their hands before you get back into your crease. Now onto the regulations of the game. Equipment. In cricket, there are various pieces of equipment that are a must. When you bat, it is the law to wear leg pads, a box, gloves, a helmet, and obviously you have to have a bat to actually hit the ball. It is an option, but most batsmen do wear them. Is to have thigh pads, which obviously protect your thighs. This means your whole leg is then covered on the front. All of these pieces of equipment are protective pieces of equipment and make it as safe as possible for you as a batsman. Clothing wise, you should have spiked shoes for your footwear, and depending on which format of cricket you're playing, either white or coloured cricket clothing. For a game of cricket, you need the appropriate cricket ball, stumps and bails. All 3 stumps should be the same size. And you should also have a boundary markers or a rope. If you're a wicket-keeper when fielding, you should have protective leg pads, keeping gloves, a box and a helmet too. You actually need a prepared wicket to play on as well for a match. Onto the playing area. The size of the prepared wicket in a game should be 22 yards long and 10 feet wide. In limited over cricket, there is a 30-yard circle which is measured off the prepared wicket. Some fielding restrictions may apply throughout certain overs. In the longer formats, there isn't normally the 30-yard circle. The law states the boundary should be a minimum of 65 yards and a maximum of 90 yards in width either way from the centre of the pitch. The law also states that the straight boundary on both ends of the pitch are supposed to be no less than 70 yards in length. Finally, the surface. The surface of the wicket is flat and normally covered with extremely short grass, which is well maintained and looked after leading up to a game. The grass will wear away as the game goes on and it gets used on more.